Welcome to the Quick Talk Podcast with Joshua Latimer, where we discuss business, life, family, faith, struggle, fire, pain, and ultimately winning.
It's time to take massive action. Look, I can't work harder on your life or business than you do. It's ultimately all on you.
You know, God created all the food the birds would ever need, but he doesn't put it in their nest. You've got to go get it.
10 out of 10 people die. So how about doing something today that actually matters while you still can? Hey everybody, welcome to the Quick Talk Podcast. Josh here. Hope you guys are ready to have an amazing week. Today on the podcast, I'm going to start chunking through some of the questions I've been receiving through my voicemail number, which has been amazing. I have so many of them. I need to start answering some of these before I get way behind. So my assistant has been categorizing them and getting them organized for me so I can effectively take care of these. But today we're going to answer two different questions. And the first one comes from someone who is not in the home service business, but has listened to the podcast for a year and he likes it, which is really cool because there's actually a lot of people listening to this that don't clean a window, clean a carpet, mow a lawn, build retaining walls, do pest control, whatever. And it's funny because it just reminds me how the architecture of most businesses in general, we all have similar moving parts, right? It's just the end deliverable is different. So this guy, he wants to start a mobile coffee shop. And I'll play you his voicemail here along with his question in a second. But just think about this. Like these things that we talk about in this podcast are mostly universally true, right? Like there's a lot of psychology, there's certain moving parts, there's it's all the same, right? If you look at successful companies in any industry, there's similar attributes to them, right? Like the way that you feel when you do business with them. If you look at Apple to me is kind of a lot different today than it was when Steve Jobs really blew it up. He's not around anymore, but he wasn't the big corporate thing. He was like going against the system. He positioned their companies totally different, right? In their marketing, their products were different, unique, so cool. It was all about how you felt buying it. People would line up around the block to buy these iPhones. Even the packaging that like an iPhone comes in even today is highly engineered, so it's all suctioned on there, and when you pull the box off, it goes like all those little details matter. And it's the same for your business. So let's go ahead and listen to the first question from this caller, and then I'll give my thoughts.
Hi, Josh. Nate here. Hey, I currently work for a corporation, a large corporation, and I'm looking to start my own business. I actually started a coffee truck. It'll be here in a few months. And my end vision is to work full-time, either with multiple coffee trucks or even coffee shops. Business model is pretty cool. The coffee truck would kind of pilot an area with drive-through traffic, and then we would turn that into a brick-and-mortar location if we had a great client base. First, I want to say thank you for your podcast. Man, they rock. I've been listening to them for about a year now, and you've been the person to give me the motivation to do something, to take action, to quit thinking about it, and actually go out and finance a coffee truck. So I've partnered with some local friends that have a coffee shop, and we're doing it. So we're starting here in May, and pedal to the metal, man. But hey, I was curious what advice you would have to be able to turn this coffee truck and potential large amount of coffee shops into my vision and be able to quit working for the corporation in 10 or so years. This corporation is an amazing company, and they pay very well, and I most certainly have to give that job 40 to 45 hours a week during the day. So how do you transform, how do you build a business outside of normal working hours? How do you automate it enough such that it can grow exponentially so that you can fulfill your vision? Just looking for your insights on that. Again, thanks for the podcast and everything you do, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that call, Nate. Congrats on your decision to take a big leap, and good luck. And it's tricky. It's tricky when you have a high-paying job. A lot of the people that listen to the show have full-time jobs, or they're firefighters and they have a business on the side, or they're doing two things at once. And so I think the first thing that pops into my head to answer your question is you got to understand, like, your question, you said, how do you automate something so you can scale it to your vision, while you're working a full-time job? Well, you can't necessarily do that. So you don't have to do that yet. What we got to do is just get you to step one. So the first part is understanding where is the threshold that you need to be at financially with the business so that you can flip, so that you can burn the bridge and jump off the cliff and start building the plane on the way down. It doesn't have to be some empire at that point, but it has to be profitable enough for you to pivot and make the transition, right? And it's hard for someone like you because you are suffering from what I call the golden handcuff syndrome, meaning you have a lot of safety and security with your job, which is really good on the one hand, and it's really bad on the one hand if you want to be an entrepreneur, because it causes us to hesitate and to pause and to wait too long and to overthink and to have a lot of fear, right? What usually happens is once your back is against the actual wall and it's either I have to win or else I'm screwed, you typically win because you're going to figure it out. So specifically with this business, I don't think you have to get it to $1 million+ to be able to replace what you're doing, right? So figure out and know your numbers on a personal financial level. Where does a business need to be as a minimum viable business for me to focus 100% on the business? Now, with that being said, you need to do the things that all businesses need to do. You need to focus on your USP, your unique service proposition, or unique selling proposition. Like, what makes your coffee truck unique? If you think about, I don't know, Starbucks is a cliche one, right? But I don't even like Starbucks, but let's think about what they do, right? The words they use to even name their coffee types are unique and different and interesting. The sizes, they didn't say small, medium, large. They have like venti and grande or something. I don't even know. I'm not a big coffee guy. But all of that stuff is intentional. The ambiance inside the shop itself is unique, and people sit there on their little MacBooks, and all the hipsters, work and stuff and do their college homework, right? So all of that's been handcrafted on purpose for a very specific reason, and that's why they can charge like $5 for a cup of coffee. And coffee is funny because it's like the most commoditized thing on the planet, because you can go to any gas station and get a big giant cup of coffee for like $1, right? But people willingly line up, wait 15, 20 minutes in line to pay 5 times that from a place like Starbucks, which is crazy. That's why they're this unicorn and they're everywhere, right? But you need to do that in your own way with your own personality. As a small food truck style business too, one thing I would focus on is having a way baked into your model from the beginning to capture your customers' information so you can put them either on like a rewards program or some sort of follow-up program so that you can focus on increasing the frequency at which they buy. Right? So at first, you're going to have people, quote unquote, try you out, and they might have another go-to coffee place. Well, how do we get them to consistently go to you over and over and over? And I want to caution you against overcomplicating your model or offering way too many different types of products and different styles of coffee to start with. I don't think that would be necessary because, again, we're not trying to build your life vision. We're trying to get you out of the corporate world and into the truck. But have enough baseline financial stability to where you're not completely hyperventilating. Although a little bit of hyperventilating is okay, I think. And I would focus on frequency because there's really 3 ways to make money in any business. And one is to get new customers, which is great. The second one is to get more money from your current customers. You don't have any yet, but you'll have a few to start with. And the way that you get more money from current customers is by raising pricing or finding a way to upsell them a cookie or something while they're there, while they're about to give you money, get more money from them. And the big one, I think, for you here is frequency. The frequency at which they buy from you. So I would spend a lot of time and thought on how are you super unique? What is your unique perceived value? What's the personality of your brand that is different and fun and sticky to the people that are going to buy your coffee so that their frequency will be high, so that they buy often. It'll be a lot easier to build a business if you're not blowing through new customers, but rather you're building a loyal, ravenous base of people that will only want your coffee, right? So I think that's awesome. Also, make sure that you know your numbers. And that means on the personal financial side and the business side, try to reinvest like crazy. Be really careful that you don't choke the business to death by paying yourself a wage that equals all of the net profit the business makes, because then you'll get stuck and you can't be creative, you can't expand, you can't do anything. And then, I don't know, I guess another tip would be from my friend Kevin Dabrowski. You have to define why your coffee isn't the $1 gas station coffee. And you can do that through branding, you can do that through copy, but you got to figure out what that is. So some of the words you want to think about or maybe focus on are words like only. We're the only coffee that something, something, something. We're the only coffee truck that something, something. It can be funny, it can be fun, it can be serious, or you can say the word most. You know, our coffee is the most something, something, something. You want to avoid words like best because it's super generic and it's subjective and everybody says best, like we're the best electrician ever, we're the best this. It doesn't mean anything. But if you're the only company that does something or the most something, something, or you're the easiest or the fastest, Kevin always talks about using EST words, you know, like the fastest, the easiest. The only EST word you don't want to use is best. I hope that is valuable to you. I hope it helps, and I will talk to you later. Okay, awesome. So I'm actually going to do another call today, and this comes from a larger janitorial business. They do commercial Class A buildings. I didn't even know what Class A buildings were until a few weeks ago when I had Jake Ness on. He was explaining it to me. But they're currently doing almost $1 million, and he had some questions for me as well, and I thought it was really, really cool. So let's go ahead and play the next caller's question.
Hey, Josh, this is John from Louisville, Kentucky. I own a janitorial commercial cleaning company here. A little different than most of the home service-based businesses. Mine is still home-based. I'm 2 years in now, and in year 3, I'm anticipating doing about $1 million in sales. And I know it's a little different. I get a ton out of your podcast. I listen to them daily, or as much as I can. I'm really busy right now bringing on new clients. We deal mostly with Class A office space and office buildings. That's kind of our niche within the office building niche. Not to say we wouldn't take other stuff, but anyways, I know most of what you cover is, you know, window cleaning, pressure washing, those type of businesses, which, you know, all service businesses are service businesses. I understand that, but I know it's more, my business, I guess, is more on a recurrent basis type of thing, same monthly fee every single month coming in, and then we do offer carpet cleaning and window cleaning to sub those services out. But anyways, independent company, was a banker for 10 years before I decided to get into the cleaning business, and we'll have about 45, 50 employees by the end of March. So really growing pretty rapidly, just brought on the director of operations, and just really excited and just wanted to say thank you for everything that you provide, and didn't know if you could maybe on one of your podcasts just maybe allude to, because there's not really that many podcasts out there that tailor towards commercial cleaning and janitorial companies, and just didn't know if you had a different take on that business model and all the things that you believe in when it comes to that. So anyways, thanks again and for everything. You put out great content, and much appreciated from the Derby City in Louisville, and hope to talk to you eventually at some point soon.
All right. Thank you for that call, John. That's awesome, man. And it sounds like you're crushing it, which is even more awesome. So let's talk about this. How do you handle big, giant, reoccurring accounts? Well, first of all, I think it's really cool that you have this kind of business because there's a lot more stability in it. The downside of janitorial is that the margins are lower and it can be trickier to get really, really profitable accounts. And not that you can't do it. Of course you can do it. It's just a more commoditized thing, right? Like window cleaning or even carpet cleaning, you can really set yourself up and be 2 or 3 times the price of your competitors because you're dealing with homeowners. You can kind of position it and explain it in a way to attract a certain segment of the market. And with janitorial, it's a little different. But because I do know what Class A buildings are now, you're dealing with the really fancy, amazing buildings. So I'm assuming that the quality of your service is of the utmost importance, right? This isn't just some random doctor's office who's going to fire you because they can save, $50 a month by hiring the next company. So that's really good. That gives you some advantages, gives you some stability. But once you start scaling and you go past $1 million, what's going to happen is you're going to be at risk for different types of issues, right? So you just hired a director of operations, which is amazing. It's going to be really critical that the layer of leaders below you really, really understand what you did in the first place to make this business successful, and that they replicate that at a high level. So if you listen to the podcast, I always say people will do exactly what you do, except a little bit less. So once you start scaling, you got you at the top. You are the crazy maniac who really took care of people and sold all these accounts and over-delivered. And then now you have some cleaners doing it, but you worked with the cleaners and you were really on top of stuff and you paid attention. You responded to emails quickly, and then you scaled up even more. And now we have these other leaders. And we got to make sure that the same things you did to make this work in the first place are still happening. And that will happen through you becoming a coach, and through you paying attention and making sure the ball isn't dropped for an extended period of time until everything is in place. So one of the cool things Lisa McQueen does with her janitorial company, they do $7 million. I think they're going to do more than that this year. They're just growing so fast. That I think is really valuable is they personalize the relationship with their actual cleaners that are in the buildings with the employees that work at that business in the buildings. So I'm assuming, I don't know what types of businesses you have, but this concept is really strong, and you should do this if you're not already. What she does is she leaves these little notes on everybody's cubicles, for example. So if they're in an office building, the cleaner themselves will leave this little card, and the card has a picture of the cleaner with their family. It has a paragraph of text about them. Hey, my name is Mark. I am your janitorial person. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm the person here every night making sure everything's taken care of. I have 3 kids. I enjoy hiking and backpacking. My daughter actually has a master's degree in this. I'm really proud of her. And what you're trying to do is establish a sticky point between your cleaners themselves and the staff in that building, or the employees that work in that building. So really, really powerful. And she noticed tremendous differences when she started deploying this, because how do you decommoditize something that is all based on dollars per square foot to clean, right? So it's all about, we have this many square feet, what's your quote? Well, this is how you do it. And for you're going to want to focus on retention, because you could hit a plateau. What happens is we can scale, and then we go flat. And the reason most businesses go flat is because they're losing the same amount of they're losing the same amount of customers that they're gaining each month. And when that happens, your revenue growth is all over, right? And then you get stuck. So because you have a monthly reoccurring model, because you're getting these checks every month, retention is everything. Just like a software company, you have to be super sticky. You have to invest money and time into actual systems for like relationship marketing with the people that handle the accounts, with any type of influential person in that building that has any say at all, and you want as many raving fans inside of each one of these accounts as possible. And that's going to be done by you being intentional and really strategic. And that's what I would focus on. And then the last thing I would say is to create easy feedback loops for both your clients and your employees, right? So the 2 biggest bottlenecks of companies are employees or getting clients. Like, it's either one or the other is always our current stress, right? Like, we need another big account. And then you get it and you're like, we can't clean the big account. So those are your 2 like big foundational things that you kind of oscillate back and forth. And I would make sure you have feedback loops, because your company's getting really big now, where not only clients but your employees can, without risk or fear of repercussion, communicate back to the leaders in your company what's going on, how they're feeling, what they perceive their job to be like, what things are broke from their perspective. That way you can just be aware and try to fix things. Also for clients, right? There's lots of ways you can do that, but you want to have a consistent system, a consistent way to get authentic feedback from people to make sure you're over-delivering to both your external customers and your internal customers or employees. But it sounds like you're doing a great job. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for you. You get this leadership team in place. That's when things can really get cool. But this is your game to lose now, right? Things can pivot and get messed up really quick if you take your hand off the wheel too early. So make sure that your leaders below you are really mirroring the same attitude, the same responsiveness, the same leadership that you did to build up this business in the first place. I hope that helps. Thank you so much for calling. And listen, everybody else, if you have a question, give me a call and ask a question. You can call 810-201-4555. You can leave up to a 3-minute voicemail, and I'll do my best to get it on the air. Just try to talk really clearly so that I can actually put it on the podcast. And I appreciate all of you very much. I hope you have a great week. Take care. God bless.
Hey, thanks for hanging out, friends. And from all of us here at the Quick Talk Podcast team, we hope you loved today's show. We hope that you were inspired to become a doer and not just a listener. Apply what you've heard today in your own business and watch things change for the better. Lastly, remember that all the money in the world can't save your soul. Seek first the kingdom of God, my friends. We'll see you next time.
For more information about the Quick Talk Podcast or Joshua's other businesses, visit our website, quicktalkpodcast.com. Have a blessed day.